that we that whole instant appreciation thing, right? Buying it right to withstand anything that happens within the market. So like we can control market instant and forced appreciation, but we can't create, we can't control the market side. That's only speculating. So I'd rather not speculate and focus on my energy on actually just buying it right. Yeah, finding the right deal, negotiating it right, creating a win-win, instant appreciation, and then we'll force it accordingly, like how we flip it. Yeah.
I like
my
it.
Thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, control what you can, and then some of the other factors. Some of those other factors leave people sitting out, and they don't play the game at all. They don't get involved. They don't invest, and then they get nothing. So if you play the game smart, then you have an opportunity for returns. So how are you, when you talk about kind of running those numbers right? What's your numbers looking at right now? How are you running them?
So as far as the
like purchase
ROI,
price, yeah, ROI.
Even with purchase price, all of that now, like even with deals, like a lot of people, like the quick and dirty stuff is always like, oh, people are looking only for $100,000 deals. We know that was back in the day, and I'm like, those things are not impossible, but like taking down deals as far as the spread when it comes to like netting, for single family homes, depending upon the takedown price, anything 500,000 or below. I mean, as long as I'm actually at the 50,000 mark, I can work my way up. And then the ROI, like I've taken down deals, I know we actually try to focus on the high double-digit ROI, but I've taken down deals at the 10% margin, just because the spread looked better. So it's a give and take. Everyone is case by case, to be honest. I don't have a foolproof to give you an answer. It's just that every deal is like, the way I look at it is, bottom line is just try and buy it low as I can, without insulting. And if I can create a win-win, depends on all of the motivation on that seller. And I'm talking more about the off-market stuff, because MLS, good luck with that as far as trying to get that rock bottom discount, just because everybody's sharks on it right now. So it's more off-market for me. Yeah.
Nice. So you're almost completely off-market then right now.
No, actually, I'm in contract right now with two of them, and we're in counter situations with the MLS. So I would never say no. I mean, like, that's always the low-hanging fruit, as I always say, but I will never steer away from that. Obviously being an agent as well, I'm privy to actually having these conversations with agents who are coming to market with potential deals. So yeah. So no, I would never say no. And there's never one foolproof way, right? You got to expand. You got to use all your sources, in my opinion, right? You can't just never have one way to market stuff and take down leads. You got to explore and always use every single method.
Yeah, totally. 100% agree. I mean, if you're gonna go into a deal with trying to find multiple exit strategies, which is always what we want to do, then we might as well go into a deal with as many entry points as possible and have a lot of sources for deals. So
absolutely,
100% agree. Right on. Yeah. Thanks for your Manao. You're always filled with something.
Full of something, right?
Full of something. Not sure what. But today it was good stuff. So that's awesome. Oh, what's up, Corey? Thanks for getting out of bed for us.
I'm always out of bed for everybody. Hey, how's the vaccine going? You're not growing any extra?
I got it right there. Bam. It was good. It was good. I actually posted it on social media.
I know. I saw. How often do you have to go for a couple more rounds, or?
One more round in like 4 weeks. So
what's the trick? How'd you get it?
I own an adult family home.
Oh, of course. Can I be part of that? I'd like to get one too.
Well, you are a partial owner technically, since you did invest some funds. So, yeah, we should talk. I think you can. And what's really funny is that the place that I went to, the gal's just like, please tell everybody to please come down. We're not turning anyone away. What's so sad is the distribution is so slow that they're throwing vaccine away right now. And so it's like, it's so dumb. And she's just like, it boggles their mind that once they open up like a container of it, they have to press through. Otherwise, if they don't actually inject it, then they just have to toss it. But there's not enough people on the list. So they try to hit 80 to 100 a day. And today I was like number 5 and I went at 10 o'clock. And so she's just like, we need to get more vaccine in people. And this, the system is just the way it is. And so, yeah, if you guys get a chance, go. And
which one was it?
Troy, hit me up.
Pfizer?
I'll get you on. I took the Moderna.
Moderna?
just because Kenji took Moderna and Letty took Moderna. And so I'm like, I asked all of our clients who are physicians, I'm like, are you going to do it? Did you do it? How's it going? You dead? You okay? Yeah. Are you growing more limbs? You got a rash? But no, I mean, I was totally fine. I was just super hungry afterwards. So I pounded a massive Chipotle. But yeah, no, it's good. If you guys get a chance, go. But we'll see. I mean, tomorrow I might be dead. They say 24 hours later. Some people like pass out for a whole day. I'm like, great. I don't have time for that.
We don't have time for that.
Yeah, we don't got time for that. So,
well, we got time for, let's get going because I think we have a lot to cover.
We have an amazing guest today. Amazing guest. So we're excited to get to him. Goods, deeds, weeds, and needs.
Anybody have any good deeds, needs, leads, or good deeds?
Oh, what happened? No more weed.
No more. Throw it in the chat or just unmute and listen.
I just want to do a quick shout out to Greg Gaudet on that car thing again. I mean, I know we've already talked about it, but man, that was just such a cool thing. And that was
definitely a good deed.
That was a super good deed. And I love the fact that that's what we're all about. Like, real estate, you make money, we're meeting lots of people and we're always talking about returns, but sometimes the best return is when you invest in somebody who can never pay you back. And it's awesome. So Greg, woo, you're awesome.
Oh, thank you guys. Thank you everybody that donated. I mean, overwhelming, incredible support from the community. And yeah, it was just incredible to be able to participate.
I'm happy the story was highlighted and shared. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was shared so much. I was blown away by. I mean, I didn't really think it was like that crazy of, but it was like Drew Barrymore show is calling. I mean, even all the way out to Univision is calling interviews and stuff. I'm like, I had no clue. Like, I did not expect that. I was shocked when KITV wanted to talk about it. I was like, now we're going to really raise some money. And that was just the very beginning. It was crazy. But that just shows how, like, how much people love to see something positive, especially all the negative stuff right now.
Yeah, especially right now. And if everybody doesn't know the story, feel free to go into the Facebook group. And I think Layla posted it in there. And, it's a great thing that Greg did. So that was definitely a good deed. Does anybody have any leads or deals that they need? Money they need?
Yeah, well, so
I know Toby's got a lot of money.
So sick of hearing this. Everyone's gonna get so sick of me hearing me say this, but yeah, we just closed our last flip on Thursday, so we're looking for the next few deals on Maui. So anybody got leads on Maui? You want a wholesale? You want a JV partner? Whatever? Just hit me up, and we'll figure out a win-win.
Sounds good. Well, in the as you go through the call, feel free to drop anything you need or anything that you have that you'd like to offer to the group in the chat. But why don't we jump right into it? I want to save some time. That's why.
Greg, why don't you put your information in the chat? Greg, put your information in the chat in case somebody wants to reach out to you.
Okay. So today, guys, we're bringing on our new friend, Burton. We've been in contact with him over the last few weeks. And basically, he's going to go over the software Propstream. And the reason why we kind of reached out is I was very impressed with this service. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of you already may be using the software or have heard of it. And I thought it would be pretty cool today to bring him on and go through the software can do so many things. So we wanted to kind of just do a broad overview of it. And then I'll let Burton take it from here. But mainly focus on lead generation, because I think especially in the market that we're in right now, where it's a strong seller's market, deals are hard to find. If you're shopping deals on the MLS, I mean, you're kind of just shooting blindfolded in the dark, so because it's so competitive. So any little edge that we can get or any little information could be huge for our businesses, right? And I just want to introduce Burton. And hey, Burton, if you don't mind unmuting and sharing a little bit about your story and Propstream and introducing yourself to the group, and then we can go right into the software if you don't mind. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. I'm sorry, couldn't find the mute button here. But hi guys, my name is Burton. I work with Propstream. I've been a member of Propstream for about 8 years now. I'm one of the directors. I do the product development. I do media relations, public relations as well. You probably, if you've Googled or YouTube Propstream, probably have seen a video of me with other influencers as well. So what I do is pretty much guide people and onboard people to understand data and how data can be implemented, how it can be manipulated to fit any real estate business strategy that you're trying to implement. The thing I'm trying to teach lately is just how to look at data differently. So that's a little bit about me. Propstream started back in 2005. I've been good friends with the owner for a long time. When he started it, he was into other businesses. He wanted to dive into real estate because he understood that the data was only localized back in 2005. So he wanted to achieve something that was nearly impossible, which is, can we uniform it? Can we uniform all of these records on a localized level nationwide and put it in one individual platform? And that's what we have here today. So we've been attacking this data stuff for a good 15 years now. I've been blessed to be part of it for 8 years. We're nowhere near being where we want to be, but we hope that you guys are pleased at what you're going to see today. So a little bit about our company, a little bit about me. My goal is not to sell you. My goal is just to really show you what this application can do. And I'll let you guys make that decision later on whether it's suitable for your business or not.
Yeah, actually, sorry to interrupt you, Burton. I'm so glad you said that, because we spoke earlier, it's like these calls are, we just did these calls. Actually, it started just for funsies during COVID, but it's become something where we're like a close family, and it's about sharing and knowledge. And that's why even more so, I knew Burton was the right guy, because he shares the same mindset as us, and it's not about selling, it's about educating. And this, and honestly, this software for me, I was impressed, so I think there's a lot of value. And real quick, before we get started, can everybody who has either heard of Propstream or already is using Propstream, and can you use the hand raise reaction here on the bottom?
Keith is for sure.
Awesome.
Okay. That's great. Well, again, I'm gonna hand it back to you, Burton. But thank you guys for jumping on. And for this week, I think we if anybody, as Burton's going into this, if anybody has a current lead that they're looking to dive in deep on, or a property, please put it in the chat, because perhaps we can do it live on the call today and dive in on some of the data on that property. And I know there's a lot of people on, and this is public, right? So just whatever you feel comfortable with. If anybody feels comfortable dropping an address in there, please do so. Go ahead, Burton. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're perfect, man. And I like that. I appreciate everybody announcing who has it, who doesn't have it. So that changes my goal today. My goal is to impress those that already have it and shed light on those that don't, on what this platform can do. So without further ado, let's talk about just the simplistic part. What is Propstream? Because this is the thing I get a lot. People pull me aside. Hey, dude, what's Propstream? What does it do? So I had to create an outline. I know it's silly, but this is just the best way I can learn. This is what Propstream can do. It's a two-part system. So the first part of Propstream is lead generation, right? You're here to build a list of motivated sellers or buyers. So we've broken that up into 3 phases. Phase 1 is to just build your list. And so you can search anywhere in the United States, Hawaii included, filter, right? And what I mean by filtering is that we'll have 18 categories that you can choose from. We have, actually, let me just show you what we have here. When we log in, you'll see the first 8 categories, but when it comes to filtering, there are 8 options that you can choose from that we're going to provide you. And you can choose any of these 8 options. So they're MLS, pre-foreclosures, which are your notices of defaults and les pendants, your pre-foreclosures with an auction, these are your notices of trustee sales, your bank-owned properties, otherwise known as foreclosures, cash buyers with a little twist, we made sure they're non-owner occupied. Liens are involuntary liens. So your HOA, your property tax liens, your state and federal tax liens, child support tax liens, mechanical utility tax or liens, and someone being sued, an abstract of judgment lien as well. Vacant listings come from the Postal Service. This is properties that are undeliverable by mail. That's just the only important thing you need to know about this list is it's not your definition of vacant. This is undeliverable by mail, meaning it might have recently sold and someone forgot to forward their mail. It's in between tenants, which is a good sign, and it potentially is an abandoned property. Someone's been living there for 10 years and they just stopped answering their mail. And then we have high equity, properties that have either 50% in equity or more that we've calculated, or $100,000 or more that we've calculated. Now we do have 10 other categories. You can find them in our filter. And those are free and clear, properties with no mortgage notes, bankruptcy records, chapter 7, 11, and 13, divorce records, tax delinquencies, properties that failed to make their payments on time, their property taxes on time. And this is a really powerful list because it's actually kind of like an early birds list. It goes tax delinquency after about 2 to 3 years, depending on the market. You don't pay that, it turns into a tax lien. And if you don't pay that, we know it turns into a pre-foreclosure, right? So a lot of people have been kind of attacking this heavily. Flippers is something that we created on our own. We took our county records and MLS records and put them together. Flippers is another way to find a buyer. The difference here is that these are properties that have been bought and are now back on the MLS in 24 months or less. So great way to find your flippers there. Failed listings. These are properties that either withdrew, changed their mind after they listed it, or an expired listing. Senior owners, something that we've created. We collect years of ownership, tax information, and mortgage data. So this list is 25 years of ownership or more, or it has a senior owner tax exemption, or they have a reverse mortgage on the property. Vacant land is just that, something that we created. County records are pretty sloppy and unorganized. We went through all of their vacant data and made sure there was no building characteristics on there. So when you choose our vacant land, all of your results will have no property characteristics. Tired landlord, common terminology, just means non-owner occupied with 15 years of ownership. And then zombie properties, properties that are in both pre-foreclosure and foreclosure. This is a term that's been out there for many years. The reason why we're isolating it now is because it's a very sought after list. My explanation on this is the reason why we're isolating is as investors, you know what to do when someone's in pre-foreclosure. Just remember the homeowner does not. Sometimes when a homeowner sees a notice of default, they don't know the options that they have. So they either disappear, they move into a relative's house, they move out of state, and in most cases, they move out of country, right? So this is a very challenging list because you're going to need to find somebody who's pretty much not around. But if you can get a hold of them and explain their options, you might just find a good lead there. Okay, so that's pre-foreclosures and vacant property. So back to our outline, that's filtering. You search any market, you can filter through those 18 categories, use our additional criteria like property characteristics, loan data, all that good stuff. And then you can save that marketing list. Now we give you 10,000 leads every month. So we're hoping that should be sufficient enough to at least find one deal and change your life, I hope. But I don't want to make any promises. I mean, we can give you the data. The rest is really up to you. But after you save your list, you can export our data. And that's why we call it phase one, because some of you guys already have your skip tracing and your marketing already in play. So you can just take our data and walk away with it. Now, if you don't have the ability to skip trace your list, and what I mean by skip trace, get the phone number and email, we have that inside of Propstream. So you can take your list of buyers and sellers, get it skip trace, and in about 5 to 10 minutes, get a cell phone, get a landline, or get an email. And then you can export our data and then send it to your VA or cold call it yourself or upload it to your dialer or whatever it may be. Now, if you don't have any of that, we can help you with some of the marketing. And that's phase 3. You can build your list, get their contact information, and then we can directly market to them by creating a campaign. And that campaign will give you a free website for your marketing list. So if you have a list of auction properties, then your website should say, hey, I can help you with your auction. And after you create that website, you can then send the postcard to them, a ringless voicemail, or an email to them. And if you create a cash buyers campaign, then your cash buyers website will say, hey, how would you like to buy this lead of mine, or whatever it may be, right? So you can create multiple marketing campaigns because we know you're going to have multiple lists. Each marketing campaign gets a free website, and then you get to choose what marketing elements they get. Now, skip tracing, postcards, ringless voicemail, and email are an additional cost. You can find the costs on our website under the pricing tab at the top. Now, that's just the first part of Propstream, generating leads, getting contact information, marketing. The second part is analyzing the lead, right? Because we're not going to leave you in the dark. Someone actually calls you back, whether you're doing this with us or manually by knocking on doors, you're going to need to analyze that property. So you can search by the address. We're going to give you all the details that we've been able to collect on that property. So you can find the opportunity. It could be the year built. It could be that it's, a 1-bathroom property. It could be that they're in a different state. They have a lien, a bankruptcy recorded. The opportunity could be a lot of things. That's one thing I want you guys to start realizing is that sometimes homeowners can sell a property and they don't have to be on a pre-foreclosure list. They don't have to be on a vacant list. So get used to reading that data because that data tells a story. Now, after you search and find those opportunities, then you can run comps using public records or MLS records to calculate your after repair value. And then from there, you can print that report. Our report includes photos of those comps, calculations that include the low, the high, and the average ARV value. And then again, that report can be used when you're talking to the homeowner, trying to set the reality in that you're not going to get them full price because this is what full price looks like, and you show them the pictures, or you send it over to your investor buyers and try and convince them that's the ARV. Here's what properties look like in that ARV range. So that's Propstream in a nutshell. What I'll be focusing on today is phase 1 and the stage 2, analyzing a property. So you guys can understand what we do with our data. Now, in terms of additional features, we do have the ability to access team members. We have an add-on called List Automator. List Automator does 2 very important things. One, a lot of people used to call us and say, yo, what's the difference between you and them and you? And to be frank, I can't answer that question because I would need to know how they're collecting data, and I need to share how we're collecting data, and we need to look at it side by side to tell who's stronger in what areas and who's not, right? No one's going to ever do that. That's like asking KFC for their secret recipe. That's not going to happen, right? So what we decided to do is if you can't beat them, then let's just join them, because our business was never about competing with Zillow, competing with Redfin, competing with any of these list providers. Our business was always to help the investor. So one of the features with List Automator is you can import outside data into Propstream and get our data. So if you prefer to get your divorce leads from your friend who's a lawyer who does divorces, and he can get you addresses that are in divorce before anybody else can, well, great. He doesn't have mortgage data. He doesn't have MLS data. He doesn't have vacant data. So let us help you there. Take his addresses, put it in Propstream, and we can tell you which ones are on market, which ones are vacant, which ones have high or low equity. We can work together so you can make better decisions. Another aspect of List Automator is the automation. When you search and filter with Propstream, we lock your filters into your marketing list. So we know what marketing list and what filter was attached to that marketing list. That allows us to now automate your lists, meaning we can just add and remove properties that are now meeting or no longer meeting your criteria. So you build a list with a filter, you automate it, and if next week 100 properties meet your criteria, we'll just add it to your marketing list. Meanwhile, anything that's saved in that marketing list, if they no longer meet your criteria, we remove them from your list because those are marketing elements that don't need to be spent, right? So that's what we can do. Also, we have the mobile app for driving for dollars. So I know it's a lot. That's why I can't go over everything. My main focus today is how to build a list, because I'm going to be a firm believer that even if you're not using Propstream or don't want to use it, that what I'm going to teach you today, you can carry over with everybody else. I'm going to give you a whole new perspective on data. That's my goal today. Okay. And then we'll go over analyzing a property. Okay. So with that said, I'm now logged into Propstream. What's going to happen is it's going to capture my IP address and zoom in on my market. Okay. Now, again, we can search anywhere in the United States of America. So the reason why we throw you on the map is because the assumption is you're here to build a list to search a property, right? So searching is the first part. If you save anything, my properties is where we store them, then you can export it, right? That's phase one. Phase two is to skip trace it. And phase three is to go into the campaign. So it's in the outline that I just showed you. But the focus today is how to build a list. 4 ways to search a market. First one would be to search a county. So I can type Fulton County, and it's now going to allow me to search Georgia, Fulton County, New York. But when I search a county, here's all that we're doing. We're just dumping a bunch of records on your lap. And what we're saying here is that, hey, in Fulton County, there are 357,000 records we've collected for you in this market. Now, if you want to go through them manually, have at it. We're going to give it to you 50 per page. And as you can see down here, you can see how many pages that you can go through, 7,000. Now, there are different options to view your results. This is pick view. You have list view, and you have the spreadsheet view, which allows you to see more characteristics on these results. Now, when you search a market, again, we're just going to dump it on your table, but we're going to help you by organizing it. We're going to say, okay, out of those 300,000, there are 7,070 MLS listings. And so when you click on that box, just the properties with MLS listings show up. But here's what we're really doing. We take a parcel of a property, and this is our business. So if you guys want to ever run your data company, this is what we did. We started with getting the tax parcel information, these little square lines, right? And then after we started with that, we went through all these other sources. Remember, this isn't like one source. We built relationships pretty much with many different realtors and brokers and sources out there. So when we click on a parcel, we run that parcel across all of these categories so that when I go into the detail of this random property I just clicked on, I could see that, oh, it went through a cash sale because we have the cash sale records, right? So the reason I'm showing you that is because when you click on one of these categories like MLS, every one of these properties, when you click on it, will have the MLS details tab, right? If you click on the pre-foreclosure, what do you think is going to be in the details? The pre-foreclosure details tab. And any other situation that's unfolding, like in this case, we found it in the pre-foreclosure. It's the first one. It's being auctioned off on February 2nd. But our system also identified that it's a failed listing that occurred in November as well. So they tried to sell, they couldn't sell, and they're now being auctioned off in the next 17 days or so, right? So only way this was able to be done is because we had to bridge the data together. If we go back 10 years, you're getting this from the county information, you have your realtor on the line, and then you had to go to the other department to know that was bought in cash at one point, right? So you have to understand that this isn't easy, but this is what we're doing. In every category that you click on, there will be a tab representing that. So first search is a county, second search is a city. Like we can do, a lot of us are in Hawaii, so we can do like Lahaina. I went there one day, stayed at Kanapali Beach Club. It was a pretty awesome place. But you can see all of the records that we've collected in Lahaina, all the MLS records, all the high equity records. So it could be a county, a city, it could be a zip code. We can search Beverly Hills if we wanted to. Now, zip code is the only one where you can search up to 5. So just add a note there. You can separate the zip codes by commas. So if you wanted to do another zip code, you can. And again, the max is 5. And when you get all 5 or 3 or 2, click on the suggestion link down below, and we're going to give you access to all 5 of those zip code results. And the final and possible search is the draw search feature at the upper left-hand side of our map. This isn't designed to search a large area. It's geared to search a small environment. So like I can zoom into Anaheim, California, right next to Disneyland Park. Great place for Airbnb right now. So with the draw search feature, instead of searching all of Anaheim, I can use the map and kind of make it a little bit cleaner, and then use the draw search feature. And through a series of several left clicks, I can create my own search environment, right? So just south of Disneyland, I can hit the search button or enter on my keyboard, and I get just these results in the shaded area. Now, a lot of people don't use this search, but here's why I think you should start using it more. A lot of people don't know about this search, and a lot of people don't even know about our heat map at the upper right-hand side of our map as well, right? So our heat map will give you calculations, and these are the options that we're going to give you. We can show you estimated values in areas that you've never been. We can show you MLS status. We can show you price growth over time and rent values, right? So I drew a shaded area because I know that in this market, it's a hot market. So I'm just waiting for the leads to populate, right? Now, let's say I didn't know anything about Southern California. So while that's generating my leads, let's say I just didn't know anything about California, right? Or actually, let's do this. Let's just go to a different environment. Let's say I've never been to Denver, Colorado, right? I've never invested there myself. I've never landed in Colorado. I've only heard things about Denver, right? Good football team, apparently. Anyhow, let's say I wanted to start investing there. Well, if my buyer says, okay, Burton, no property is more than $500,000. Okay, well, let's start with the estimated values. Right? So I'll click on estimated value. And now using the heat map, I see where the $1 million properties are, the properties under 100 or less, and everything in between. So in that sense, I'm probably focusing on everything on the right-hand side or southeast of this environment. Right? If I wanted to see listing information or any MLS stats, these are the options for me. So I can see listing prices if I wanted to. Price growth, right? We want to make sure the property is growing in value. So let me see how this area has grown in the last year, especially for these cash flow investors. If you're a buy and hold investor, this is a very popular one. Another popular one for you is rent values. I'm looking to definitely buy a rental property here, but what's the rental price look like in this market? And red represents $5,000 a month, 500 or less every month on your rent, and everything in between. But here's why the draw search feature becomes powerful now, because I can go to an area I've never been to, Denver, show me how this area has grown in the last year. I can now zoom in on the map, see the pockets of growth. And now that I see that there's been areas of growth in a certain area, here we go. I can now use the draw search feature and just look for leads in that environment. So a lot of people don't use our draw search feature. Again, for those that are already using it, I hope you learned something new here. For those that aren't, definitely let the data work for you. Let us let you know if there's been growth, if this is the right estimated price range that you need, if this is the right rental values that you need. And then once you do that, just draw out that area and then we're going to populate the results for you. Okay. So 4 ways to search your market once you get your results. So while it's doing its, let me just clear this out. While it's doing its thing, when you search a county and we give you these results, here's what separates us from everybody. Okay. We understand that the process of building leads has always been a traditional method. And that traditional method is when you get into a county like Fulton County, you'll then go into our filter and you'll choose a category that we're providing you, right? It's no different than before technology. We would go to the Fulton County Clerk House and we would ask them for a certain category that they had. So it could have been a pre-foreclosure list. It could have been an auction list or a lien list, right? That's the traditional method. And so we can do that. Nothing has changed. We're just making it faster for you. So instead of going home with 3,000 records or 10,000 high equity properties, we can go home and or go into this Propstream filter and just do it instantaneously nearly, right? So here, it's lagging just a little bit for me on my end. So hold on here. All right, let me make sure I pull up my results first before we show you guys the traditional method. So does anybody have any questions so far on this?
I have a quick question, Burton. For the zombie properties, do you guys have a filter for people who are in the forbearance program?
No, that's a hard list to capture nationwide, and it's still kind of hard to get because these data providers that do have it, they are treating it like it's a rare metal on earth, and they're asking for price ranges that are ridiculous. So it's what we call a trend list, which makes sense. We do need it, but we got to make sure it's affordable, because if we end up getting that, then we don't want to end up having to push that price on our users. So the answer is no, we don't have indication on whether they're in a forbearance or not. And actually, let me log out and log back in here. So that's a great question. So no, on the pre-foreclosure, we'll just let you know that a pre-foreclosure was filed. We won't be able to indicate whether they're in forbearance or not.
Got
Can
it.
you can you save the draw tool searches in case you want to go back or get alerted? Like
Yeah,
Thomas.
yeah.
Yeah.
Alex, good question. It's right here, brother. Right here at the top right. You see where it says save search? Yeah. So what you'll do is you'll create your shaded area. And then after you create your shaded area, hit search, and then you can hit save search, and it saves that shape that you created, right? Or that save search also applies, Alex, to a city, a county, or those 5 zip codes I showed you as well. Okay, so traditional is going into a market, and you guys are probably doing this already, right? Going into a market using a source or physically going to the county and grabbing a list. You'll go to Fulton County and you'll grab that pre-foreclosure list, right? Or you'll grab that lien list. Then you'll walk home and then start separating the 23,000 records. That's what we're doing. That's all technology has done for us, is just sped up that process, right? So now instead of doing it at home manually, I can actually use the additional filters to clean it up really quick, right? So if I wanted to knock on a door, I want an owner occupied property, right? Because nobody wants to see anybody right now, then maybe I'll do non-owner occupied or both. So I'll do any, right? Now, if I wanted to actually knock on a door and make sure the owner's there, then I want an owner occupied property where they're answering their mail, right? Because the owner occupied that are vacant, well, if mail can't get to them, what difference am I knocking on a door, right? Now, if we were to do non-owner occupied, that changes the story. Non-owner occupied properties are most likely landlords or rental properties. So if I'm looking for a non-owner occupied property, do I want that property occupied with a tenant? Which is a big list. A lot of people were looking for this list last year because you couldn't evict anybody. And so for investors willing to work with tenants, this was a big one, right? But if you don't want to work with the tenant at the property, then you want a non-owner occupied property that's vacant. They're probably in between tenants right now. Okay, so just these 2 filters can dramatically change the situation that you're dealing with, okay? Now, if you don't care, then you will leave it under any. Your next filter are your property characteristics, so nothing new here. The only thing you can do is choose a certain classification. A lot of people don't know this, but we do residential properties. We do commercial, so if you wanted to filter and look for commercial properties with liens, like a daycare, preschool, and auto repair, all that stuff is available, office spaces. Now, that doesn't mean we have all the records for this stuff. Like we might have property records for liens, but that doesn't mean we have divorce records, right? Like we don't collect divorce records on commercial buildings. So some of these categories will have results and some of them will not. Just want you guys to understand that, okay? But these are all the different classifications of types of properties and data we collect. And depending on the classification you select, in this case residential, it dictates the property type that you can choose from. So I get all the residential options. If I wanted a duplex, I can look for those. Right? Now, if I chose commercial, then my property types are now commercial options. So I can look for a car wash that has a lien if I wanted to, or a casino if there is one that has a lien, right? So different classifications, whatever you choose will dictate your property type. Everybody typically chooses the core 4, and that's why we have them here. Single family, condominium, 2 to 4, or multifamily 5+. Below that are your typical characteristics. Unit number range is new. A lot of our multifamily investors were like, hey, you know, what if we could search for the unit number? And we said, yeah, we got you. So you can say, I want a property between 10 to 20 units, and you can find that immediately.
What commercial lists have you seen success from other investors?
Well, it depends. And that's the thing was we work with all sorts of different investors. We work with lenders and bankers and contractors. We work with flippers and wholesalers and people that do creative seller financing. So I can't say that there is a best list because what you may not consider good, someone else has a strategy for it, if that makes sense, right? It's kind of like if I only knew wholesaling, I only need high equity properties. And for the low equity or negative equity properties, I would say I can't help you. But for someone that does like creative seller financing, like sub-2s or lease options or some other, again, creative seller strategy, that would be gold to them, right? So I can't answer that question, Alex. It's a good question. I'm going to share a philosophy with you in just a few moments. And I hope that philosophy will carry over to the commercial side and the residential side and so forth. Okay.
It was more like just checking if you've seen clients like have like specific success on targeting types of commercial property, you know,
Well,
in the business.
It would work across the board. I've seen success with out-of-state commercial property owners. I've seen success with pre-foreclosure property, commercial buildings with the lien. But then I've seen people that just a commercial building, not in any of those categories. Person just calls and says, "Hey, I'd like to make an offer in your property," and the owner just agrees to it. That's a weird thing about real estate is that because we have so much clientele, I can't pinpoint what the best category is of success because every one of them applies. So it's kind of hard. But if I were to be like looking at the data, what are the most searches? Then it's typically pre-foreclosures, vacant, liens, and high equity properties. If we're looking at just what lists are being pulled a lot in every category, those are the top four. All right. And so with the property characteristics, you also have the numbers of stories, school district that you can search for, and whether the property is in an HOA or not an HOA. And then we can start stacking or suppressing our data. So since I'm looking for a lien, and because Propstream has MLS data, I can now cross-reference it with our MLS information, right? So I could say things like, hey, I want a lien, but it has to be off market. So I can go over here and say on market, no. And we do have other filters that you can apply, like the listing date, if it was listed, the status that it's listed under, the listing amount, even when it failed as well. We then have the pre-foreclosure and foreclosure filters. So again, we can stack. We can say, hey, you know what? I want a lien that has a pre-foreclosure. Now, I hope this chart helps because a lot of people will ask, just like Alex, what's the highest motivation list? This is a chart I use. Again, going off just the lists. If we were just to look at a list and say, okay, which list is the highest motivation? Pre-foreclosures and auctions and foreclosures have always been the highest level of motivation because they're about to lose their home, right? But remember, that's not where people want to sell. Some people want to sell in the what I call the uh-oh category, which is where they just got a bankruptcy recorded, where a divorce has been filed, where they're not answering their mail, or they're tired of being a landlord, or there's a lien. And then this is what I call uh-oh. This is what a lot of people kind of don't understand. Like, you could be the best salesman in the world, and that doesn't mean the owner's going to want to sell right away, right? Now, if you want someone who's willing to sell in the first few phone calls you call them, then stick in this category, right? Because this is your highly motivated category. You're probably going to get someone who's going to need your help in the next 30 days, right? But because everybody knows that, yeah, you're going to get big discounts and you're going to close it fast because you got to race against the auction time, but it's very competitive because everybody knows that. So if you're having an issue with everybody beating out your pre-foreclosures in your market, maybe you should shift your attention to what I call the uh-oh situation, like a lien, and just understand it may take a little bit longer because they're not there yet, right? So this may take 3-4 months to build that relationship. But the idea is on that 4th month, they've trusted us. We built that relationship with us to where, hey, you know what? That lien isn't going to get resolved. I'm starting to get warnings about going into pre-foreclosure. So Burton, let me work with you. And if they ignore me, right? Even if I warn them and say, hey, we got to take care of this because if not, you're going to go into pre-foreclosure. If they say, you know what, Burton, I got it. Don't worry about it. And then they go into pre-foreclosure. Guess what? Everybody is calling them all of a sudden. Who do you think they're going to lean on more? The people that are just calling them, or the person that's been trying to help them and guide them for the last few months? Reason why I show this graph is because a lot of people kind of get frustrated when they don't get a deal in 30 days. That's normal. There are some people out here that haven't gotten a deal in like 2 years. And because this is the reality in any selling industry, video games, we heard about that earlier, cars, real estate, most of your deals are here. The pipeline deals, the ones that take 6 months, that's about 60% of your deals, right? Pre-foreclosure, you could definitely work there, but why do you think people work on marketing so much in that area? It's because they're competing against the other postcards, they're competing against the other voicemails. That's why you see people do a lot more fancy marketing in this category, where here people are worrying about that genuine relationship, right? So I wanted to show you guys this because a lot of people ask, what's the most motivated list? I hope that chart kind of guided you there, okay? But again, what I'm doing here is, let's say in Fulton County, the pre-foreclosures were very competitive. Here, I could have said I wanted a default or an auction on top of the lien, or remove them, right? If everybody's doing auctions in Fulton, then I want liens not in pre-foreclosure yet. And as you can see, we have 1,800 properties that have a lien that are not in the pre-foreclosure category yet. I'm willing to wait because some of these deals are going to garnish $10, $15, $20,000 in assignment fees. Or if you fix and flip them, you might be able to get 100K or more, right? Your ROI will definitely be worth it if you wait. Recording dates.
Burton, does the liens, does it include like mechanics lien, tax lien, like all types of liens?
That's right here, right below pre-foreclosure's ownership info. And that what you're referring to is right here. You could specify tax, HOA, mechanic, utility, solar, child support, or abstract of judgment. So you get to specify the lien and dictate the lien type. Like right here, who's more motivated, 500 HOA lien or 8,000? The 8,000. So let's put a lien amount of 5,000 minimum. That way we get rid of those few $100 ones and we only look for the more aggressive lien amounts. So great question there. And that would be this area here. One that we did miss is ownership info. Typically years of ownership is popular, owner type is popular here. One new feature that has literally changed this industry is numbers of properties owned. We have found the way to find if a person has more than one property, and that's the tax address, right? If Corey were to buy 10 properties, Corey could send all of his tax bill to every single property, and Corey will then have to drive to every property every year. Or Corey will be smart and say, you know what, send it to my PO box or send it to my primary resident, right? Or my office. Well, that's where we found them. So we took a look at that tax address and we were able to link all their other properties. So here's why it's important. I can look for a person who has a lien, like an individual. And yeah, this would be 18,000 potential leads, but I want a lien owned by a person, and that person has 5 to 9 other properties as well. Because if I do a good job helping them with their first property, they might need help with the other properties as well, right? So the numbers of property has been huge because now you can turn one lead into multiple leads or do something like this. I saw this frequently pop up in our database, senior owners with multiple properties. Because what if there's no plan B? What if there's no kids? What if there's no retirement plan? What are you doing with these properties, right? So make sure you guys are looking at that heavily, not for just getting one lead and turning it into multiple leads, but for this too. You know, I want a cash buyer who has 50 properties under their name, right? If you want deep pocket buyers, then let us find you the deep pocket property buyers by looking at how many properties they have under their portfolio. And what will happen is when you click on these properties, you'll see a tab called linked properties, and it shows you all of their properties owned under their portfolio. Okay, so it's a very powerful thing. Again, it helps you multiply your potential leads, but also find those very aggressive buyers out there. Okay, so that is our ownership info. As Corey mentioned, the lien, bankruptcy, divorce area lets you add more to your search. So if I was looking for a lien, I can also look for a lien that has a bankruptcy on top of it as well. I could specify the lien, but I also can suppress that category, right? Like if I don't want to deal with the bankruptcy, I just want a lien, no bankruptcy, no divorces, I can suppress those well. Stay away from that stuff, okay? Recording dates, lien amounts, delinquency year, and to wrap it up with our filtering, the valuation and equity info, estimated value, rental income values. Most popular one is the equity field, equity by dollar amount, equity by percentage. And finally, the mortgage information. Okay, so what I'm showing you is still the traditional method. I went into market, I selected one of the lists provided, just like if you were to go to the county, they only have a few lists that you can take from them. And then you filtered it to find your 17,000 results out of the 23. And then you can check them all off and save them. Or if that's too many, you can filter it. Just show me numbers 1 through 500. And then we can save that and add it to a marketing list, right? So we'll call it Burton's lien list, and we'll put today's date on it. So that's traditional. We chose a list, but here's what I want to share with you guys today. Remember, I've been at this for 8 years. I've worked with so many different types of real estate investors that do all sorts of things. I realized one thing: we're not looking for a list. We're looking for a problem, right? Simple as that. But here, what I discovered is that no matter what strategy you're looking for, most of them follow a golden rule, right? So the first golden rule I realized was that no matter what market you're in, right? Let's say we go to Lahaina, Hawaii, right? The first golden rule that will probably apply, unless we're dealing with an agent, is that we would go to a filter and say we would want off-market properties, right? Okay, that's the first rule. The second rule is equity, right? If you're wholesaling, if you're fixing, flipping, then you need equity, right? Minimum of like 30% or higher. Everybody has a different Goldilocks number. So for this example, we'll say 30% or more, right? So we have the two golden rules most strategies are applying: off-market and estimated equity of 30% higher or lower, whatever the value is, right? Now, here's where golden rule number 3 kind of confused everywhere. The third rule is motivation. And unfortunately, that's where everybody got kind of lost because they got used to the traditional method. And when technology came in, they applied the same method. They said, okay, off-market equity, and it has to be a property and a lien. And in doing so, you're gonna, find some good leads, but you're also limiting yourself, right? Now I only have 57 leads to do that off-market equity type of vacant. Or if I do pre-foreclosures, I'm probably gonna only have like a handful because I'm locking myself into a category. And it's never been about that. These categories are just easy indicators, I like to say. They're good starting points, but it's never been about that. This industry has always been about finding problems. And I'm going to give you guys a few examples, but I hope what you see I'm doing now, you can take away and run with it. Okay. So I've seen people do some crazy stuff over the years. One I thought was clever was I was dealing with this real estate agent and she called it the double listing search. I was like, what are you talking about? She says, the category that I look for in every market I work in is I look for single family properties that have a minimum of 3 bedrooms, but they only have a maximum of 1 bathroom or more or less, right? And they're owned by an individual, not a corporation, just a regular person. So the problem here is not that they're on a pre-foreclosure list, a vacant list, a lien list. The problem here is that you guys have to share 1 bathroom. And the reason why she called it the double listing, and I thought this was clever, she would call the owner and just simply ask, hey, have you guys considered upgrading to a 3-2? Now would be a good time to buy. And then they would say, yeah, I'm interested. And so if everything went through, she got the listing. She got them to list their 3-bedroom and 1 bathroom. Once she got the listing, she contacted all of her investor buyer friends and said, hey, I have a listing that's a 3-1. You might want to put in a 2-bathroom in there, a 2nd bathroom in there. What do you think they did? They bought that listing from her. And in 3 to 4 months, they put in that 2nd bathroom in there. And guess who the buyers called to list their property? They called her to list her property. That's what she called the double listing. See, so while you guys are caught up looking for liens and pre-foreclosures and limiting yourself to those 57 properties, she was thinking outside of the box because it's never been about a list. It's always been about isolating a problem. Right? So that's what I wanted to share with you guys. And as you can see, I never chose the list. I left it blank. I just went straight into the filter, what I like to call like going into, a Vegas buffet. If you want to go to the ice cream, go, no one's going to stop you. That's what we're doing here, right? I'm just crafting my own situation. So once you understand that, it's the same across the board. I can go to Lahaina, and while you guys are looking for vacant properties, well, I'll look for senior owners that are dealing with a 2-story building. Because that up and down movement, that's going to take a toll on them, right? So go ahead and play with your pre-foreclosures. Go ahead and play with your liens and delinquencies. I'm going to look for senior owners that are dealing with a 2-story building. Or how about this? Instead of a 2-story building, how about those senior owners that are in a different state? Because due to the pandemic, senior owners are the highest risk right now in travel. So there are 500 properties in China right now owned by senior owners that don't live in the state. Hey, what's up with your property out here in Lahaina? And we just shut up and let them talk, right? And then hopefully the pain is, I can't travel. We didn't get to go to our vacation this last year. Stupid virus. Well, do you think you're going to be back anytime soon? Probably not. And we go into the negotiation phase, right? So what I'm trying to share with you guys is that sometimes problems are not a list. Problems are things that you can just craft by using our application. Again, another one I can think of is, I know Hawaii is a huge like rental area. So how about non-owner occupied properties that are vacant right now and the owners have to pay like 1 or 2 mortgages on that vacant property. So while it's vacant, you're paying that mortgage every month. Do you want to cash out? So these are things that, again, you don't have to choose a list on. You just have to think, what is a situation where if I was in that homeowner's predicament, I would be happy that Corey called me and said, hey, let me take care of that 2 mortgages that you're paying on that property that's not being rented out. Sure. What's your offer? Right. And we take it from there. So if there is anything today that you're going to walk away from is that you can build your own problem. And there's problems out there across the United States that aren't on a pre-foreclosure list, aren't on a lien list. But I do suggest you start there. If you're new, definitely let these lists guide you, but you'll discover over time that sometimes it's more than just a pre-foreclosure. It's more than just the lien. And so that is our presentation today. Again, give it back to Corey and say, thank you guys for giving me the time. Our application, I hope it's for everybody, but I'm not going to guarantee it is for everybody. It may work, may not work for you, but I do hope that if there's anything you got from me today, is that start looking at the data as how I can build problems, not, hey, what list do you have that I can work with? You're in control, right? And we need to work for you, not you work for us, kind of a deal. So definitely look at our data or look at anybody's filtering system different with a new shed of light. And that light should be, how can I reverse engineer these filters to build a problem that these other investors are not even thinking about? And I'm sorry if I had to share that with you guys, because now you guys are all probably thinking of all these crazy leads, and now you guys are going to be competing each other for the 3 bedrooms and 1 bathrooms. But hey, hopefully you guys aren't in the same market, and that can help you guys find those double listings, as that young lady was calling it. So thank you guys again for your time. Corey, I'm going to give it back to you, man.
Man, thank you so much, Burton. That was smooth. It was clean and right to the point. And that's just one strategy, which is generating leads, right? Using the software. So, and that was some great tips actually that you put in there. You don't think about a 3 bedroom, 1 bath. That could be a problem.
Yeah, there was another one I saw that was hilarious. He was doing properties built in 1950, but we're in an HOA environment because we have that filter. And I was like, dude, that's brilliant.
Wow.
And now it's like, hey, how's your property? I think his script was how, like, during the icebreaker, he would introduce himself, and throughout, like, I think after like 2 minutes, one of the questions he would ask is, hey, how's the HOA treating you? And he would just shut up because he knew that the properties were already 70 years old. And it was either the owner rehabbed it, right? Because he has to upkeep it if he wanted to rent it out or not. But he would tell me that 60% of his calls would be owners saying, yeah, they're on my case right now because I haven't done the roof, I haven't done the windows, or they want me to paint my building, or the paint is peeling. So that was so clever. I was like, damn, yeah, 70-year-old buildings in an HOA. If I was the HOA, I'd be pissed at those type of properties because it does devaluate all the other properties in the neighborhood. We like to call the HOA the property mafia, right? If you don't listen to what they say, they're going to put a lien on your property. High equity, low equity, they're going to take that away. So just get creative. I mean, at the end of the day, again, you can knock on every door in your neighborhood. Someone's going to sell even if they're not on a list. I don't want you to do that. I just want you to start thinking outside of the box. Think of situations that have been big. Like, one thing I will share, like, let me actually share this one thing. In March, so last year in February, I was working with a lender office, and we were trying to onboard like 50 of their representatives. And what was weird is, like, towards the very end, they shifted how they were pulling leads. So they were doing what everybody was doing, right? Pre-foreclosures and liens. And then at the end of February, they shifted. And what they started doing, and this was a company out in Chicago, what they started doing was, instead of, not Chicago Heights, instead of searching for like your typical pre-foreclosures and foreclosures, remember, these are lenders. What they started doing was looking for non-owner occupied properties that had tenants owned by people, not corporations, with a mortgage, because they saw what was happening. They called it, like, I literally was sitting there like, why are you guys looking for people with mortgages that are renting? Like, they're making profit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's someone making passive income, right? But this was February. I didn't understand what these guys were thinking. They have think tanks. These guys think and look at different data that I wasn't seeing at that time. But it made sense when March hit. When March 15th hit, and we were seeing 40 million people file for unemployment, then it dawned upon me, those lenders were going after homeowners that are now in a situation where they can't evict the tenant. They have to pay this mortgage, or the homeowner goes into furlough themselves. So yeah, if this was 2019, no one would have been calling these guys because they're making passive income. But on March 2020, bankers and lenders were going straight after these guys. And that's, I think what was great is because the director was like, hey, can your system do this? And I showed him like, yeah, this is how you did it. And then he just shut up and had his team pull thousands of leads from that point on. So the reason I'm sharing that is in real estate, the pendulum swings. Back in 07, it was like foreclosures and all of that good stuff. And then when the market went upside down, everybody was doing short sales. And if you didn't know how to do short sales, then you struggled, right? And now the market kind of got better and there's equity, and now wholesaling and fixing flipping has become more predominant. But when that market goes in a weird way again and there's no equity, then the pendulum swings back. And so that's what I noticed in March. I was like, man, these guys are really thinking outside of the box. And I hope that right there is just another strategy that can be added on top of what you guys are already doing.
Yeah, that's huge. And it's one thing because like we're in the information age, right? And it's like the new precious metal is actually data. And I mean, why do you think companies like that are like TikTok is such a big news, right? Because they're holding so much data, and I guess the trust between the US and China relations are kind of made it a little messy for them. But this stuff is huge if you know how to use it, right? And if it's used properly. Quick question for you, Burton, and thank you so much. I guess, are we able to like filter jumbo loans because each county has different jumbo?
No, so not yet. So we are working on enhancing our application, I believe at the beginning of Q2 of this year, to allow people to look for, and I don't want to make any promises, but we're looking to enhance our mortgage section. So we obviously have interest rate data, we have mortgage type data. So we don't have that feature right now, Corey, but we're looking into it, releasing that hopefully in the near future for you guys.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I didn't think so, but the fact that you have interest rate and the principal balance, and that's huge. And I think what's great is though the software is good for many real estate professionals. We're talking about real estate investors, developers, mortgage brokers, or lending companies like ourselves, realtors.
Yeah,
right?
realtors. I've seen realtors, especially now that we have the numbers of properties owned. I've seen lots of brokers now literally build their buyer, like they're rebuilding their buyers list. They're searching their market, but they're searching for buyers with like 20 properties or more. And those are the buyers that they really want on their team. So yeah, agents and brokers have been steadily using our application. As a matter of fact, this year, our team is trying to go into the realtor world because no offense, but we just don't think realtors are seeing the data the way we want them to see it. We notice a lot of realtors do what we call the blanket marketing, right? Or the farming, where they just market to everybody on the block. Some investment firms have the budget to do that. Some realtors who are just starting don't have the budget to that. So we're trying to educate realtors and brokers to market smarter and not harder. So this does apply, again, to anybody that needs real estate data. It's just looking at the filters and manipulating it to your strategy. And you should hopefully be able to source some more leads that you probably have never seen before.
Yeah, and have you guys? Well, before I ask this next question, sorry, I'm hogging the mic here, but I just got so many questions. For everybody, we are now an affiliate of Propstream, and because we support Propstream, we're not affiliate of anything else. And like we said earlier, we're not here to sell anybody. The service sells itself. And if you're ready, I guess, Burton, you want to talk about the price, I guess the tiers or anything?
So it's $97 a month. If you click on Corey's link that he's going to provide. So please, if you haven't yet, if you guys want to try it, we do provide a 7-day trial period. We also have a lot of resources in our application. When you first sign in, we have a help section. I've spent the last year and a half making video libraries for you guys. So short videos, like how to get more downloads, how to send a postcard, how to export. I also, on a weekly basis, in our help section, there's webinars I do every week. So every Tuesday, I do a complete overview if you need a reminder. every Wednesday, I do what we call a breakout session where I talk about the list automator or the mobile app or how to run comps or filtering and marketing. So yeah, we definitely want to help out, but you do get a 7-day trial. If you do decide to subscribe, it's only a monthly basis. So it's $97 a month, but we'll give you 10,000 leads to download in any market in the United States. So it's not locked to your area. For a lot of you guys that are virtual wholesaling, have at it. As you saw what I was doing, going from one market to the next market, everybody gets that access. So 97 a month, 10,000 leads, but you start off with a 7-day trial and you get the mobile app on top of that as well. The mobile app is not an additional cost. So anybody out there driving for dollars, make sure you use that app as well.
Yeah, and we'll be working closely with Burton and his team to kind of just flex all the muscles of the software, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll be back. Me and Corey, we've talked about lining up more of these breakout sessions with you guys individually. So you guys make sure you give Corey a round of applause. He's been able to rub elbows with me pretty well. So we've become really good friends. Exactly, Thomas. Corey and I have become really good friends, and we're planning on this year doing more of these intimate sessions with everybody. So I know I wasn't able to cover everything today. Like we didn't even talk about the comping part as much as we should have. We didn't talk about or even showed you guys the mobile app or even the list automator. So just embrace the fact that there's going to be more of this happening, and we're going to really clear the fog with this app. Again, I'm going to be the first to say, I don't think it's for everybody, but I hope that after I show you everything it can do, you'll be able to make a determining factor if it's good for your business or not. And then we'll go from there. And hey, if we have to, part ways, great. I'll still help you out with anything I can help you out with in terms of the data part. Like today, I hope that even if you don't use our product, I was able to kind of change your philosophy or change your mindset on how to look at data differently and implement that on whatever application you're going to be using going forward.
Yeah, and so thank you so much, Burton. Hey guys, let's open it up for any questions. Feel free to drop it in the chat. Oh, somebody had a question. Let's see. Is Propstream and Propfinder the same?
Yes, they are. Propstream and Propfinder is the same. In our many years of working behind the scenes, we've partnered up with a lot of very influential people, I can say. You guys have probably heard of them, but what Propfinder is just a white labeled version of Propstream. So it's just a different website they go to log in. It just has different colors, but the data is the same. So they're the same. There's different names. That's it. So we have a handful of white labels out there. Again, you've seen a lot of influencers over the years. They're probably using one of our white labeled applications, but Lloyd, that's one of many of ours.
Hey, got a question. This is John. In reference to California Prop 19 and the property tax being affected, the low property tax, but in a month that may change. Could Propstream down the road help investors that where people might be selling their houses because their property taxes may be too high for them? Can Propstream kind of help that?
John, that's a great question. We are in Southern California. We've actually been eyeing the state laws here as well. We've talked about being able to introduce tax increase filters to see if some property if a property has increased in tax in the last year by 5%, 10%, allow our users to actually even implement the number that they'd like to see. We haven't implemented that yet, but John, let me actually add you to the list because I've been pushing for it just like you have. And so the answer is no, we don't have it, but that is something that we can definitely implement. I just can't give you an ETA because it does take time for us.
Yeah, I'm new to this, but I have a hunch that there are going to be a lot of properties that people are going to consider selling or doing something with it.
Oh, I agree 100%. That's something, again, it's a unique niche, but it is something that we probably need to consider, but it's been talked about already, allowing our users to look for properties that have had a tax gain or tax loss over the last year. So essentially just, would you like to see a property with a 5% tax increase or a negative 5% tax increase or whatever number you'd like to implement? So don't have it yet, but it is coming hopefully this year.
Very cool. There was a few more questions in the chat too. I don't know if all those got answered, but Burton, on the webinars that you do, no need to advance sign up. Just basically jump on the website, click on, and jump in.
Yeah, it's free. I mean, you don't even have to be a Propstream subscriber. Actually, you can just go to our website, propstream.com, and we have our pricing tabs. If you wanted to know our pricing again or our marketing pricing, but just right here, go to resources, our video library, and if you just want to, join in on our webinars before you even dive into the trial period, this is the area for you. So the webinars are open to the public. Again, our thing is never about selling. We think the product will sell itself. We don't even put money in marketing. That's just what we do. This whole time, for the last 15 years, it's just been word of mouth. To us, and for me personally, I think word of mouth is the best marketing period. You can dump millions of dollars and you can put a Super Bowl ad. That doesn't mean your app is going to be great. So our philosophy is, if we make revenue, we put 80% back into the product and the 20 goes into the payroll and salary of our employees and go from there.
That's awesome.
I love it, man. Yeah, I think because with it's like you said, you don't have to sell the software. You just have to demonstrate it and educate, because it's just like what we say about raising private capital, right? Because we offer a great product, which is an investment opportunity for private investors who invest with us, right? And sometimes we forget that we offer a very powerful product as well, which is high returns with collateral. So there's security to it on a tangible asset. And so for me, when I'm raising capital, it's never about selling somebody on why they should invest with us. It's more about educating them on why, what we have to offer as an investment vehicle, right? So this is like the same thing. So hopefully everybody saw value in this, and by all means, you don't have to use our link to sign up, but feel free to do so if you want to help support us and our journey from here on out alongside Burton, exploring this software and being right alongside the company as they grow and expand and learn and improve.
Yeah, and we definitely could use your help. We just released our mobile app this year. It's nowhere near being perfect as we think it is. A lot of people like it already, but again, it's free. Our mobile app is just this right here. We could use your suggestion. You guys are on the ground in the trenches. So our mobile app is really simplistic. I mean, you search an address and then we give you all the details, right? So like, it's just on the go data. You can run comps. You can see the equity information. You can skip trace someone on the spot. You can send a postcard. And we even have driving features. So if you wanted to just drive around town and save properties along the way, we have that. But we just released this in July of this last year. We do need your help, guys. If you guys can utilize it. If there's any suggestions you guys have to offer, let me know. I really want to make sure that we dial in the mobile app. And remember, it's not an additional cost. Even if you're in the trial period, the mobile app is available to you. So still like to get your feedback, even if you're in our trial period. So
nice. Well, I think one of the points that somebody brought up that they're kind of newer, I saw a few new faces as well. I think the opportunity to get onto your free webinars, to just listen in and kind of get a sense of what you can do. I think most of the time when we jump into the investing space, we want to do something. And we know that sitting around waiting for a listing to come on market isn't the right thing. And every new investor hears, well, you got to go off market. And then they think, well, how do you do it? So what's great is you guys basically put everything on the buffet line and we just get to pick and choose. So I would say to a brand new investor, if you're on and listening, listen to the webinars first. No need to sign up, no need to buy in, just listen. And then at some point something's going to click and you're going to say, well, for a $500 budget, let me just give this a shot. And then just give it a shot. I know Corey and I have done several campaigns, and when we first launched the Seattle market, Corey, you may remember, we're just like, yeah, let's just do a direct mail campaign and see what happens. And we actually got a few leads, and it was great. But we had a little bit of experience to kind of know how to dial it in. And so if you're new, I would say those webinars are great. It's free, it takes a little bit of time, then great way to start.
Yeah, I got a lot of great nuggets on this one, and my head's been spinning ever since I've been looking at the software, just because like
proud of your head, always spin that by.
Yeah, it tends to do that. You guys get going crazy. But we so we have a construction company too. So like I'm thinking, all right, how does a construction company benefit? Well, if you're looking for jobs and you need contracts, you're fighting for, contracts to keep your crew busy and stuff. It's like, well, let's find cash buyers. Let's find guys who have been flipping properties. They've bought and sold the same property within 12 months or something like that. That's
to your point, I had a roofer using our product. He was finding properties recently sold that were built 20, 30 years ago, right at the sweet spot where the roof needed to be replaced. And I thought that was brilliant. He was even using our skip tracing. And it was weird because, we get to see the postcards being sent out. And I was just saying, need your roof done on his postcards? I'm like, this guy's not even an investor. He was sending out postcards through Propstream, but providing roofing services to anybody recently buying a property. And that property was built, I think, between 1980 and 1990. And I thought that was just genius for him to utilize the property characteristics to isolate properties within that 25, 30-year sweet spot. So again, guys, it's just a matter of Corey says, just thinking about situations and then implementing it hopefully into our filters and coming up with those one-off situations that no one looked at because everyone's too focused on a certain category or whatever it may be.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much again for your time, Burton, and we'll definitely be more in touch. And let me just, before we call it, let's make sure we didn't have any questions we missed. Jerry's asking, how can you connect the desktop list to your mobile app?
It's not yet available, Jerry. So it's right now mobile to desktop, not desktop to mobile, but we are working on that right now. Jerry, just to give you some insight, we're working on allowing you to take a marketing list, put it on your mobile app, and create a route for you so you can have the most effective route to get to these properties. But we just released in July. We have been getting a lot of suggestions. It's just a matter of the development part. So no desktop to app yet, just app to desktop, but boy, it's coming and a lot more than just that. So, but Jerry, you send me more suggestions, brother. If you have more suggestions, support at Propstream, let me know other things that you can think we can do. We want to know. Development's hard. Just so you guys understand, I always say development is because we used to do, I see the development, the scripting and all that. Development is like putting a domino in an already existing dominoes puzzle, right? You have all these dominoes already standing up and you got to take this one coded line and put it in a certain spot. And if you don't do it right, everything falls apart. And so just bear with us with the development part. We just hired 5 new developers this last November. So we're hoping to start getting things much faster for you guys, but just bear with us on that whole stuff. So bring in your suggestion, just give us some time to implement it.
Yeah, and I want to just give a quick shout out to Mr. Alexander, because actually it was Alex who he's been one of the first members or something, or he was one of the early. He got in early with you guys, and we started seeing the software kind of just improve. So I'm glad that it's constantly being adapted and improved, and you guys are listening to your customers. Right, because that's going to be awesome.
We have to, yeah. I mean, again, we're not perfect. I'll be the first to say this isn't. We don't have everything. We might be just a piece of the puzzle. Sometimes you might just be able to get one part of data, but we hope one day we can help out. But at the end of the day, you have to understand that there isn't going to be one application for everything, right? When I was at that lender's building, I was able to talk to the communications director, and we just kind of were shooting some, fun talk in the lunchroom. And he was talking about coverage when it came to phone. I don't know how we got into, I think it was pulling out my phone, but I asked him, I was like, well, so for a company like you that's nationwide, who do you go with in terms of a provider? He's like, what do you mean? I go, do you go with Verizon, AT&T? Who's the better provider? And he's like, dude, we have both. I'm like, what do you mean you have both? He's like, well, some of our representatives are in areas where AT&T doesn't cover. Only Verizon is able to cover it, right? So he has obviously agents that have Verizon's, agents that have AT&T, agents that have Cricket Wireless, agents that have Sprint Mobile, T-Mobile. And that dawned upon me because that's what our industry is. When you first start, you're very limited on a budget. I totally get it. So you'll probably have to start with one application, and then eventually, as it starts rolling, you're going to need to expand, unfortunately, because as I said, we don't have it all. That's why we introduced that list automator feature where, hey, if you can get a list that we don't have, let us bring it together, right? Because we're the first to say we're not perfect, and we're the only ones to introduce that feature, import your data and get our data, because That is not what our competitors want. Right? That, again, our business is not to provide you data, but our business is to make money at the end of the day, and it's to beat out our competition at the end of the day. But when we released the List Automator, it turned that industry upside down, because you have to understand, before List Automator, our business and everybody else's businesses, our data is better than everybody else's data, right? I mean, you guys probably have the mindset, how accurate is your data compared to this company? Because you've been taught that strategy is their data is better than our data is better than your data. That's always been this industry. So when we said, you know what, bring their data over and we'll give you our data, they weren't really happy with that strategy. So that's what we are. We're the new kids on the block. I mean, 15 years compared to these guys that have been around for 50, 60 years. But we're trying to change it for you guys, because at the end of the day, we're not here for them. We're here for you guys at the end of the day. So thank you for your time.
Awesome, man. I love it. Kiko, you want to take us out? If there's nobody, if there's no other questions.
One more thing, Corey. I want to wish probably the youngest person on the call, but one of the most educated people, Tomas, a happy birthday today.
Oh, yeah. Happy birthday, brother.
Thank you,
Happy
my guys.
birthday,
I appreciate it.
And Tomas
It's an
is
incredible
a heavy
birthday
user
to
of
be listening
Propstream.
to you, Burton. What's up?
Oh no, bro. Hey, man. I'll be frank with you. I appreciate that, but I'm always humble seeing everybody here, because, like I always say, this is an industry where, look, we use the term real estate investors a lot. I have this philosophy: you're a real estate investor after you make profit, right? What you are is you're a solutions provider. You go out there and you solve problems, and then you make profit. And then how you use that profit, that's real estate investing, right? So Tomas, I'm humbled by that, brother, but I'm humbled the fact that I'm here with you, to be frank, because you're out there changing lives. You're out there saving people from losing their homes, from having to get that horrible credit score and all that. So thank you, brother, but it goes both ways, man. I'm happy to be here with everybody. You guys amaze me. You guys are the foot on the ground, where I'm here in the office just providing data. You guys are out there face to face, solving problems, man, without a doubt. So thank you. God bless you all for doing that at the end of the day.
Thank you, birthday.
Yeah, thanks for the kind words. It's credit due to everybody else.
Yeah, happy birthday, Tomas. Tomas is a beast, by the way.
Tomas just lost
Thanks, guys.
becoming, he can no longer be a teenager. So now I can't say I have a teenager as an associate. So a little
You can't say that
bummed.
on these calls. I need everybody to think I'm like 25.
Yeah, just look at your
Wait, man.
face. You're not anywhere near 25. It's all right. It's fine.
Why, you can't tell?
Now we got to go hire. Yeah, you haven't hit puberty yet. We got to hire a new
Yeah, I know.
teenager. So we could at least say we have one teenager on our team. Actually, my son, my 13-year-old. Yeah, he'll join us.
Perfect. He's on payroll too, so even better.
Awesome, guys.
Sweet.
Thank you so much, Burton. We'll have
I know.
Burton on
And then-
again, maybe in a few weeks to dive into something. So,
Yeah, Burton's amazing. Corey, give us a sneak preview for next Friday. It's going to be a good one.
oh yeah,
As well.
thanks for the reminder.
I mean,
So
nobody can top Burton for sure, but
Stop it. You guys are hilarious, man. But I'll see you guys later. Everybody have a wonderful new year. If you need me, find me on Facebook, Instagram, or just reach out to our call center. I'll be there too. Take care, guys.
thanks, Burton. Appreciate it. So next week, guys, well, we'll have another guest on, and another one dear to our hearts, another friend of ours, and it's Mr. Thatch Wynn from Seattle. Busy guy, he high energy all over the place, but I was able to get in touch with him, and he's more than happy to come on, share his story, and also give us some of the knowledge that he has. And I admire him because true rags to riches story, and has the same mindset that we all do. So excited about that. We're really looking forward to it, and I hope to see all of you guys on.
Yeah, next week would be a good one to invite some other investor friends. Thatcher's story, if you haven't heard, he's an immigrant to the country, came with nothing, lived in a shared bedroom with siblings as brand new immigrants. He door knocked hundreds of doors. I think his goals was every single day knocking like 100 plus. So he's self-made, didn't inherit any money, didn't get any money from everybody, learned it himself, and I love it. But if you follow him on social media, you realize he drives a lot of fancy cars. It appears, what people tell me is like the guy's just way too arrogant. And I'm like, dude, when you've worked that hard and knocked on that many doors, you should drive any darn car you want to drive, And And I know the guy personally. He's legit. So bring some folks next week. If you know anybody who is kind of thinking about real estate or kind of feeling like, hey, I don't know where to start, and life is against me and I can't possibly make it in real estate. Well, Thatch's story will inspire them, and a great way to start the new year off with that kind of motivation.
Yeah. And even if you have done deals and you're getting traction, hearing his story will just remind all of us, like, am I actually working hard enough? Am I actually being productive? Am I actually getting things done? Because he's a guy that's very inspiring. And I'll tell this quick story. When Kiko and we met Taro, went to his event, we volunteered for his event. And then we saw Thatch. I saw Thatch for the first time. Then and when Thatch left, I asked Taro, I was like, Taro, come on, tell me the truth. Is this guy the real deal or what? And he's like, he's the real deal, dude. He's the real deal. And that's all I needed. Taro's stamp of approval. And after getting to know Thatch over the years, he is the real deal and very humble person, comes from humble beginnings, lots of energy and really inspirational. That's why I'm very excited for next week. So I hope to see all of you guys on. Kiko, you want to take us out?
Yeah, everybody, thank you so much. Have a great one. My arm is getting sore now. So now 2 hours after you get a shot, your arm feels like it's about to fall off. So there we go.
Before everybody leaves, real quick, I just have one more thing to reiterate the fact of bringing on another investor. Hey guys, this is a community that we're all about helping and providing value to everyone that's on board. If you get any value from this call, we ask you to help us help more people by inviting one friend, one investor, one friend, one colleague, somebody that will benefit from being here with us so we can have a greater impact by helping more people. And it's not helping just us, it's helping you guys and more become, a real estate investor, reach their dreams and goals. So they have a story like Alex Camacho. So they have a story like Thatch. They have a story like Chris Waschendorf. So they have a story like Corbett and Tristan. Like, we want to highlight these stories that everybody has, but we need your guys' help with getting more members. Invite them to the Facebook group, invite them to the call. And that's just all we ask. So thank you guys.
Thanks, brother.
And Alex, just curious, because we're all curious, what, you run out of laundry or what? Why you got to dress so nice?
I'm actually going to be on a panel hosted by Marshall Falk in about
12 minutes, bro. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Yeah. Go get them.
Well, you look the part. Go get it.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right, everybody. Have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. And look forward to catching all of you on our Facebook page.
Aloha, everybody. Take care.
Aloha.
Yes, thank you.
I'll drop the link in the Facebook group too, maybe with the recording, because man, this was filled with great stuff.